Today we're going to look at a cool vintage Fender bass from the 60s. This is a 1968 left-handed Fender Mustang bass. It's pretty much all original. I'm going to take it inside though, stick it on the bench, and we'll get a better look at it. So let's do that right now. So basically, we're just going to hover around this guitar because a lot of videos, they'll move around a lot. They show the whole guitar, but you never see up close and personal all the details, the little chips, the wear and shrinkage and rust and all that stuff. So we're just going to zoom in and just check this guitar out for a few minutes, and you can compare it to like how a custom shop looks. The first thing I will say though is old guitars usually are shiny still with the shiny pickguard. Unless it was put in a case all sweaty for 20 years, then it oxidizes, but usually they're pretty shiny. So when you see those relics that are all super flat and dull, that's actually pretty fake. I feel like my camera is just not wanting to focus. You can see those little bubbles on the knobs where the plastic is wearing down or aging, falling apart. You can see the little marks on the edge of the pickguard. This started out black and was sprayed Olympic white over the top of it. Maybe the lefty who ordered this wanted a white guitar and all they had was a black one, so they sprayed over the top. Who knows? You can see where this had a sticker on it at one time. It left a little scar. In this white area, that's where the clear coat wore off from the arm. So the clear coat yellows, which turns the whole guitar yellow. If it's a blue guitar, it turns it kind of a green color. Blue and yellow make green. You can see that screw and spring was replaced. Now the old height screws, if you look at them, they're slightly rounded on the top. If this is focusing, where the reissues are pretty flat. Go to the strap button. You can tell this is the correct strap button because it's a little bulkier than the older ones. The base is thicker. The entire thing is just a tiny bit thicker. We'll check out the back one. And that matches it. Alright, let's look at the neck. If you note or notice those perloid dots, even though they're bigger, I believe the dot itself, I'm not sure, but I bet if I measured it, it's probably a 1/4 inch. And then if you look, you can see the glue around it, or whatever that is. And maybe when CBS bought the guitars, instead of putting the little 1/4 inch vulcanized fiber clay dots in there, they had to press them in. Maybe they just drilled the holes bigger and filled the rest in with glue. It's hard to say because it does have a perfect gap going around it. Anyway, it's just something I've always noticed. So if you look at a neck and it doesn't have that little ring on a perloid dot neck, there's probably something wrong there. nice patina. Let's look at the headstock. This is all nitro. No poly was used. This could be like a 67, 66 neck. On a lot of these lefty guitars, you'll see leftover parts from a couple years ago. The screw that holds this down is a number 5 by 5/8. It's the same screw that they used on the old jack cups. It's not your standard number 4 by 1/2 inch pickguard screw. And if you look at the tuners, the old ones, they were pretty round, not super rounded, but definitely more rounded on the top. Just smoother. I think nowadays they don't care, they just make something and call it good. Where in the old days, they took pride in their work and everything was kind of fine-tuned. No pun intended. You can see the original dowel that was used on the lefty neck. A lot of lefty necks have that dowel. The Strats, all of them. In the 50s, you don't see it as much, but sometimes you do. I'm going to flip this over. Now that screw was replaced. That's a standard pickguard screw. And also, if you look at this strap button, it's more petite. It's probably from 60 to 66 or so. If it was a 59 and down, maybe 58 and down, it would have the base would be more squared off instead of rounded. Also, if you look at the older screws on top of the tuners, they're smaller in diameter and more rounded looking. The modern ones are bigger and kind of more flat looking. Maybe they're the same height, they just look flatter because they're bigger. So anyway, it looks like this guy was using this neck as a drumstick and beating cymbals with it. Move this down a little bit, this doesn't want to focus. Now here's one of the nicest things about this guitar. Look at that flame maple. I see this a lot on lefty guitars, and maybe it's because they ordered the guitar. It wasn't just off the shelf or hanging at a guitar shop, so they gave them the option to have flame maple. Maybe this guitar was black, it was just a body, and some guy wanted a white, Olympic white guitar with a flame maple neck, so they put it together for him. If you look at the neck plate on the edges, you can see how it was punched out or stamped out or pressed out. The modern ones are pressed out as well, but I think they just clean up the edges. So you can actually see the edges on old neck plates are pretty rough. Just something to pay attention to. Again, bulky. And you can see this thing has a pretty good shine. Somewhat thick. The paint, not like the older ones, but at the same time this is 2 paint jobs on this guitar. I think this kind of checking when it's vertical like this is from moisture, where the horizontal checking is more likely due to hot and cold. I could be wrong, but I think this is when the wood expands and the checking goes along with the grains. So you get this vertical checking, if this will focus. Anyway, it's going up the guitar this way versus side by side, or, horizontal. So I'm going to plug this thing in. Just to warn you, I play left-handed guitar, but I've never touched a left-handed bass in my life. And I actually play bass guitar right-handed, so this is going to be brand new to me, something completely different. But I'm going to give it a try and see what happens. So nothing fancy, just I'll noodle around a little bit and at least let you hear what it sounds like.